Here's NUCA Vice President of Government Affairs, Zack Perconti, with our NUCA legislative update.
At the time of recording, the House of Representatives still does not have a speaker. We're in the midst of a historic leadership battle that has paralyzed Congress, and we are nearing a new deadline of November 17th to fund the government. Our industry's water funding questions are now caught up in this broader fight over appropriation and who will lead the majority in Congress through the remainder of the 118th session. As of today, the House and the Senate remain far apart on spending bills, with the latter generally abiding by the cap set under the Fiscal Responsibility Act that resolved the debt ceiling crisis. In many instances, Senate appropriations bills largely keep funding level with fiscal 2023 spending, including our industry's State Revolving Fund programs. The Republican House majority is still negotiating who will lead the party, and right now it's unclear if anyone can reach 217 votes anytime soon. While there's talk about empowering the acting Speaker pro tempore, Representative Patrick McHenry, it's not clear how much action Congress will be able to take anytime soon. Every day that we remain without a speaker will grow closer to that November 17th deadline to fund the government. Our appropriations fight over the state revolving funds remains tied up in this larger battle. Under the current House Interior and Environment Fiscal 2024 appropriations bill, we're seeing a proposal to cut nearly $2 billion from the state revolving funds. What's left of that funding will primarily be distributed through earmarks and not the usual loans, which largely zeroes out the program's funding, not only this year, but carries significant financial difficulties for the program going forward. It's likely that this will be worked out in negotiations with the Senate. Senate appropriations bills are largely abiding by the cap set under the Fiscal Responsibility Act, and thus are keeping most program funding, including the state revolving funds, level with fiscal 2023. However, at this point, it is very unlikely that we will reach a full set of funding agreements by that November 17th deadline. All of the leading Republican candidates for House Speaker have largely conceded that a continuing resolution will be necessary in order to fund the government past the November 17th deadline. That continuing resolution may even extend the deadline into 2024, which would trigger an automatic 1% cut to all federal spending under that same debt ceiling agreement. NUCA has been very active on Capitol Hill, keeping that question of water funding centered during the broader conversations around the Interior and Environment appropriations bills. And while we've been talking with those potential candidates to lead the House of Representatives, we've made very clear to them that water funding is something that needs to be protected. NUCA will be having a virtual summit on November 8th, just before the deadline to fund the government. And we'll be asking you all to join us to talk to your lawmakers and remind them the importance of keeping water infrastructure fully funded during this historic period of infrastructure work around the United States. We cannot afford to take a step back in rebuilding America's water infrastructure. We need your help to make sure that Congress stays the course.
Join us on November 8th for NUCA's Fall Virtual Washington Summit. In conjunction with your chapter, you'll be able to meet with your lawmakers and urge them to appropriate the resources our industry needs to build our nation's critical infrastructure projects. Your chapter is arranging the meetings and needs your voice, so please register today at WeDigAmerica.org for the November 8th Virtual Washington Summit. Please register today.